Hello and welcome back to That Haunted Podcast, Episode 7. I am Shane.
I'm Alex.
And yeah, there you go. She had to think about it for a second. Yeah.
No, because I thought you were going to say, this is our other host or something. I don't know.
Right. No, it's all good. We're still getting the hang of it. We're only 7 episodes in.
Yeah, really?
And I'm still learning how to talk, apparently. And Alex is still learning her name. That's okay. We have a very cool podcast. We're going to be diving deeper into the haunting at Alex's parents' place, which the video comes out on Monday the 30th, I believe. No, it's a Wednesday or Thursday. November,
Monday.
the last day of the month.
Oh, it does? Not this Monday?
No, not this Monday. This is
the
the
podcast
Yeah.
comes out this Monday. Heard that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We know what's going on. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the haunting at Alex's parents' house.
Because, last time we talked about, we kind of talked about, the failed exorcism and, we didn't really go into detail of my childhood. We really only went into detail during the teenage years and how, once my parents found out how it affected my mom and everything. So we're going to go deeper into, how I was tormented by the demonic and how, really, my calling came to me from when I was a very young age, and I didn't notice all of these things lining up as to why I was going to be somebody that helps with extraction and why I help people with exorcism, or why Shane and I have done this in multiple lifetimes. There's so many things that add up from your childhood, because things that you've done in your past life that you're meant to continue into this lifetime will start occurring in your childhood years. And this is what I keep telling Shane, there's a deeper meaning to you being into the paranormal, but
yeah.
He has yet to find that, though, but I feel like the more I talk about my journey, it's more possible for him to find it, because I'm picking and I'm seeing things as we go. There's a deeper meaning to it. And so, I thought it'd be good to go into my childhood a little bit, because this is some deep, dark, twisty shit. And it just, it makes the video that much more intense, really, when you guys get to see that.
And speaking of the video, it's an amazing video. The evidence, because we filmed this a while ago. Mm-hmm. We didn't plan to do just a house call season when we filmed this. We just filmed it.
Yeah, we were trying to get into really wherever. We weren't really considering houses necessarily, but we were just trying to do intense houses that, and we had always said, oh my God, what would be the odds if your mom let us into that house? Because we didn't really think she was going to let us, and I don't even know why she was just randomly okay, as long as nobody's home, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know what you guys got. And I'm like, oh. So we kind of jumped on that, and we were there for how long? I don't know. It
was a while ago.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
We were there for a while, though. We caught a decent
probably
amount.
3 or 4 hours. Regular investigation from anywhere you'd pay for.
Yeah. And I don't know if we usually get that time in a house.
No, that was probably the longest we've been in a house.
Yeah.
But it's a great video. We hope you guys check it out when it comes out. And also, thank you for the support on the season premiere.
Yeah, if you guys can comment away. Let us know anything you noticed that maybe we didn't notice. What parts you liked, what things you think need adjusting maybe. Just tell us what your favorite parts were for evidence-wise. We love to hear it all, and it helps our videos tremendously. So.
But yeah, the season premiere did amazing, given how bad the editing was. But it's our best doing video on the channel. It did better than The Conjuring in terms of the first week or even 24 hours.
12 hours in.
We broke 100 views. Yeah.
That's new for us. That's not anything huge for the big YouTubers, but for the up and coming ones, that's a pat on the back. That feels good.
Yeah.
Which, do you want water before we really dive in?
I'm good.
Okay. I got my coffee here, so if you guys are listening Monday morning, hopefully you're having your coffee or tea on your way to work while you're listening to this. But we're gonna dive in here.
So, I guess this is a podcast revolving around you and your growing up in the house.
Though I want you to feel free to ask
Yeah,
questions.
I will.
Anything that maybe... Because I feel like when you ask questions, there may even be more shit that I explained that I really haven't.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about it, and the more I've talked... Because I've blacked out a lot of my childhood too, you guys. We might get involved in a little trauma here, and the reason why, though, is because misery loves company, and so do the demonic. And it all ties in. It all links in. So we're gonna get pretty deep here, and the more questions that come up, which you guys can ask questions in the comments even, the more questions that come up, the more we can answer and enlighten people.
Yeah.
And the more then you guys know when watching our videos.
So leave a comment for any questions we can probably get into in the next podcast. Subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. We're almost at 1,100 subscribers, which is sick. Fist pump. Like the video, share it, leave a comment, and yeah, let's get into it.
Do you want to ask any questions to start, or should I just start and then you can ask questions?
Yeah, we'll just talk, and if I have any questions, I'll interrupt you or something. And if we gotta dive deeper into something, we will do that.
Yeah, definitely. So, the one thing I'm gonna say is I was around 4 years old when my parents were looking at this house. And I'm not going to say exactly where, but in Western New York, we were looking at this house. And I remember my parents walking me around in the house, being like, oh, what do you think? An old woman was walking us around, showing us this house. And I remember seeing shadow figures. One in the basement and one in this rocking chair in the living room. And every time I'd walk by them, nobody else saw them. And I know nobody else saw them. And, you know, my mom would be like, oh, what do you think? What do you think of the house? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I was scared of the basement, of the living room, of the attic, and of my bedroom. Especially my bedroom. So, the traumatic part that I'm going to get into ties in heavily. One, before getting into that though, I want to talk about the land, because I don't know if my mom mentioned this in the first podcast, that there are huge rumors that go around about my neighborhood, that this house was being on land where Native Americans were massacred. Possible battleground, or just massacred, not battlegrounds. I'm not sure really what happened, but I had found something at one point, and I cannot find a link again. So, you know, is this manipulation of the demonic? Or are they trying to mess with me and get me on a whole different story? Who knows? But that was rumored, and my mother knew that. What is actually known is that their street used to be a stream or a river that people would go canoeing around. And what we know about water is that there were always natives there, and then there were first settlers. So you already immediately know that that land is haunted. And before any of this, Shane and I had taken a couple friends around the block to a church with a big amount of land that I always felt was haunted.
First investigations.
Yeah, as like a group and filming, and yes, and we caught those weird figures walking. If you were, one with the red mask and the other two with the white masks. And we have yet to figure out what that was. Mind you, this is feet away from my parents' house. These lands are haunted as hell. What we experienced that night, we thought we were hearing cannons going off, I think, right? Yeah, in the spirit box. It's just insane. So starting off with that's already a lot of negativity that can create a portal that the demonic can be drawn to. Not to mention, then, there was a lot of negativity stirred up and brought into this home. There's a lot of addiction that runs in my family. There's a lot of cycles that need to be broken. There was a lot of abuse in the household as a child that I went through, that I saw. I was molested in that house, mind you. And the reason why I say any of this, everyone's like, oh wow, why? Everyone's gonna listen to this and be like, damn, why is Alex going so deep? The demonic are drawn to places like that. Like, when people are like, what draws the demonic to you? And I say family animosity, I'm not just talking about normal family fights and then you make up or whatnot. I'm talking about this stuff. This is family animosity. This stirs up hatred in a household. This stirs up emotion. And also, it isolated me. I was a main target for this demonic entity. Now, getting into the activity, we moved into this house. I was turning 5 years old when the molestation started to happen, from what we believe. I was terrified of this house. I was scared to be away from my mom. I was scared to go to school. And I was my abilities were starting to kick in. I was seeing spirit. My parents would be driving around, and I would, from work, and I'd see them, literally, the car would go through what I thought was an old man crossing the street. And I would be very confused. I didn't even voice some of this stuff, because when I did, my parents thought I was, like, imaginary, like, make-believe playing.
Yeah.
So then in the house, that is just perfect to feed the demonic. If nobody believes them, denial is another demonic MO. If they can make sure that somebody's in denial of the situation and only one person is being targeted, it's the perfect recipe. So then as we start to, get a little bit older, 5, 6, 7, my parents start, I originally had a room with my brother. We had bunk beds. They finally gave us separate rooms because obviously they were like, they cannot be in the same room. They're starting to, hit certain ages where that's not okay. They need their privacy. Because their bodies are going to be changed, all that weird shit, So, yeah. Once I had this bedroom alone is when it really intensified. I was scared of the dark. I would feel things in the corner in my room, and I was scared to go to bed, so much so at night that this is when my parents brought me to a psychiatrist. And I had talked to you guys before about how my abilities kicked in. My parents took me to a psychiatrist to make sure I wasn't mentally ill. It was around the time that I was being tormented by the demonic as well. So, mental illness checked out.
She's stable, guys.
For the most part, as stable as one can be in this world,
I promise. Yeah.
So, I was so scared of the dark. I was so scared to go to bed at night because I would sometimes feel things grab my thighs or feel something grab my shoulder and whisper my name in my ear and then something in a different language.
Now, this was in your bedroom?
Yeah.
Which room was that?
The one that has now turquoise walls.
Okay.
Mind you, the other abuse that I had dealt with, I have been drilled in my bedroom overnight. Wood all the way up to the door. I was drilled into my bedroom for the night, with this demonic thing in the room. Which it always felt like it was in the closet, but oddly enough, that's always where I wanted to hide. It was really, really odd. How this thing fed off the negativity. Well, not odd, it's just demonic MO. But I would start to sleep with the lights on because I would hear things in my room and I would start to see shadow figures pop up around my bed. I was so scared, you guys, I started to have sleepovers in my brother's room. I was like, I'll make a fort, let me sleep on the ground, I don't want to be alone. And he'd be like, fine, whatever. There was just, it was a never end. Before I even got to that point, while me and my brother were still in bunk beds, actually, if I'm remembering back, I would wake up in the middle of the night terrified. My parents would try to get me to sleep in their bed occasionally, take naps there. I wasn't sleeping, I was getting sick. If I tried to sleep with the lights off, I would it's like I was hallucinating. I would see bugs crawling all over me, up over my blankets, and I would start screaming for my mom. And they would burst in, turn the lights off, and there was no bugs. But I was psychologically fine.
You're yelling a little bit.
Oh, you telling me to be loud.
I know.
See, this is your fault.
Sorry.
So...
Excuse me.
So you guys gotta think, okay, well, she was psychologically evaluated, but she's hallucinating. This is something that the demonic are actually capable of. If they can break down your will and make you go crazy, and if you guys are gonna think, a kid, they're gonna do it. Yeah, your kids, your animals, they're most susceptible to demonic possession. Devil made me do it. That little boy, they play real recordings. That whole scene of that little boy being possessed, that is probably the best they could have reenacted what his voice sounded like under demonic possession. That's like a 7-year-old little boy, and you gotta think I was the same age. And I mean, I was having fits too. When I say my anger was out of control, my anger was really out of control as a kid. I mean, like, I felt, like, out of control of myself, and that's also another demonic. Like, I mean, like, I was very, very much so on the borderline of being possessed as a child, if not in transient possession, which is where they don't have full control. It's not 24/7, it's in and out.
They
where
just pop in whenever they feel the need to.
No, whenever your will isn't strong enough, because you still have a will, that they haven't fully broken down. And once they do, it's not transient possession anymore. It's not in and out. They have full control, and that's when an exorcism would occur. And depending on how severe of an exorcism occur, it would depend on the level and the strength of the entity. Now, we don't even know how many entities there ever really were in that home. The hallucinations I would get, the shadow figures I would see, I would hear my name being called. I was so afraid. Every time I was home alone, there were times my parents were encouraging me to call the police because I was certain that somebody was breaking into my parents' home. I would hear something in the basement rattling around, and then it sounded like someone was stomping, like running up the stairs, stomping and banging on the walls. Is a lot, and that's actually what they can do to let people know that they've arrived, believe it or not. And it's a fear tactic. And I was scared. I curled up in a ball and I cried. Every time I was home alone experiencing this, I was scared to leave a room. The dogs would be with me, and it was so odd. This is another thing that the demonic can do. They can project sounds to only one person. My parents' dogs, that would freak out anytime they thought someone was home, wouldn't react to any of these sounds. They would just sleep and lay there. And they're beagles. You guys know, I have a beagle. You guys know how beagles are. They're gonna get up, they're gonna bark, they're gonna bay at every little noise if they think somebody's home. Not a peep. They heard nothing. There were times where we were thinking, did the dogs do this? Because our dogs were really, really bad. Our beagles, they knew how to get in the fridge, open up containers, eat pounds of goulash. They were really, really smart. But there were times where we weren't home for hours, and we would come home, and the back door would be open, even though it had been locked. We were positive we locked it. We would hear the faucets running. We would hear the stove on, and we were like, oh, god damn it, dogs. The dogs did it again. Because my dogs knew how to get on the counter.
Which is so crazy to think about.
But do you really think that a dog turned those faucets on and turned a stove on? No, that's demonic MO.
Now, going back to the voices, was that in, any particular room that you would hear them, or just all throughout the house?
Specifically, a lot of times in the kitchen and near the basement. It's like something would come up from the basement or the attic where there was a portal, because we were never sure how many demons there really were, but there was a specific, I believe, djinn that presented itself, which we talked about in the other podcast, I believe, with my brother's fiance at the time and everything. She had been jabbed and attacked, and the djinn popped up actually on a gift and said, "You're tacky and I hate you," and showed a genie coming out of the bottle, which is absolutely a djinn.
If you play Phasmophobia, you know what a djinn does.
That's not anything light to deal with. But yeah, going back to the child, yeah, so I would hear the voices, and then I would hear foot stomps. It sounded like boots walking around in the attic and nobody's up there. Or when we had bunny ears for the TV, the only way we could get good connection is by putting it up in the attic where no one could touch it. It wasn't moving. It was like as high as we could get it on the house.
Is that the one that was still in the attic when we went there? Really? Okay.
Now, the only way we would lose connection on the TV, not even during, like, bad weather usually, it was really pretty good, is if somebody touched it or moved it. We would hear someone move around, sound like footsteps.
Don't do that.
Oh, sorry. Sound like footsteps, and then somebody going, like you would hear it drag.
Yeah, that attic is pretty creepy, too. Which you guys will see in the video. But
and also with having people that had addiction at the time living in the home, there was a lot of mess. There was a lot of clutter. Which the demonic love areas like that because they know no change is happening. This was a perfect storm, really. Like, there was nothing worse that could have happened or you could have added in because everything was there to make for a demonic possession happen. We found an exorcist in the nick of time, and then the exorcism failed because everybody knows that they come back days later, and not enough change had been made in the home to keep it at bay. That's why that home is still infested to this day.
Now, what did the exorcist do? Because I remember when you brought it up, you mentioned how they put, was it rods in your yard? Right? Or am I thinking of a different place?
They specifically didn't. That's what you should do, but knowing that people have addiction there, that if something wanted to reattach
He didn't even try to do that?
No, he just said, and because the thing is, exorcism isn't permanent. You can try your darndest. Exorcism is not permanent. It is like a band-aid because demonic spirit, there is no time frame to them. And that is true. So over time, that's why you have to keep up with it. You have to keep it at bay. But what he did, I believe he went around with frankincense, bless incense, and he went around and did prayer and cleansed the home. And we sat around outside in a circle and prayed for him and for his protection. So we were kind of like assistants because it wasn't an exorcism on a person. Because they fully believed that we had gotten in the nick of time. He had said specifically it was after me. He was like, and he was really, really mad at me too for not knowing what I was doing, having abilities. He was like, okay, you're making it worse. They're after you, then your mom, then your brother, and then your father. And he said, don't talk about it in the home. Don't do anything. Don't think about it, which was very hard because we had a week, and that's when the chandelier swaying above his head.
I hated that chandelier. Hit my head on that so many times. But you've had it worse with it, so I shouldn't be complaining, but I have like brain drain damage from it.
So yeah, he went through and did that stuff, but he didn't know how to close a portal. They left the portal wide open.
It seems like that this exorcist guy, like, knew you were fucked from the start.
Yeah, and unfortunately, looking back on it, I think you only know that there's only so much you can do. But my parents also donated $100.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, did he take money from you?
There are no money for exorcisms. There are donations, and that's all they said. And my mom, because of them being willing to help, and they did give me advice on what to do for myself, because they knew that at the time that home and the people in it doomed. I know they knew that. The medium that came with The Exorcist was my very first mentor, who taught me then discernment. She forced me to ground and protect myself 3 times a day. Before I went to bed, when I woke up, before I went into any building. There was no, and she was like, until this is second nature to you, you do it multiple times, because that's just how, when I tell people, don't go investigating or getting into psychic medium stuff just because you have an interest. That's not enough, and I'm not freaking kidding you. Because if you don't know discernment, like I didn't, you're likely going to attract a demonic entity that will manipulate you. And I got very, very lucky that it didn't get worse. And I learned my lesson. I say everything is through trial and error. If this is your calling, you're going to do it no matter what. But I just say do it the right way. But yeah, they did know. I think they knew we were damned, kind of. Damned if we did, damned if we didn't type of thing.
Yeah, just might as well do it.
Yeah.
See what happens. Huh.
Yes. And it helped for a few days. It felt lighter. It did. And light was coming into the house. That house was pitch black. It's like light could not enter that house. Oh, and Cooper was a puppy at the time. He would growl at a corner, the hall at my parents' house, in the living room where we saw the lamp do the thing. Growled viciously. And I mean, like, my dog doesn't growl often. His hairs would stand up. He was very protective. He did not. And there were times he'd act like something touched his tail, because he would jerk back and turn around and his tail would tuck under, like something tried to touch him.
You know, it sounds like you've definitely gone through the ringer with that house. Even then, when we first started talking and dating, we'd have stuff happen. Like, we thought your mom came home, so we heard, like, the door open, like,
groceries.
Groceries.
Sounded like she was breaking up the ice on the ground.
First time I was there, your mom was in the doorway talking to us, and I shadow figure right behind her going to the bathroom, like, clear as day. I was like, huh? Who that?
Or, like, even, like, from my childhood up until now, if there is a demonic entity in the building that I'm in, I'll have dreams of being possessed. And I would have reoccurring dreams of me attacking my family members while I was under possession, and there would be different possessions each time. Sometimes I'd be levitating going after them, other times it was animalistic. I was on all fours. Those are completely different demonics.
Yeah.
We did experience a lot. I'm surprised you actually didn't hear things above you from the attic when you would spend the night.
That's probably because you had the TV loud. With the same movies on over and
That's
over again.
exactly
Guys, I want you to know, guys, I brought her into the technology world. Okay? She was she was a little uncontacted tribe. No technology. And I come in, I'm like, this is called a fire stick. And she goes, fire. No.
Kind of.
Yeah, no. But yeah, this house is pretty crazy. And do we want to talk about the video a little bit? Not give too much away, but
we can. Because I don't think... Did we get the lamp shaking?
We got the lamp shaking. Also, the amount of voices we got through the spirit box and the answers we got are so crazy. And creepy. Crazy, creepy, and intelligent, too. Extremely. I'm telling you, this house... So, the video and the whole investigation while we were there started off relatively... Not even low, but mild. And then jumped right away to, like, we got voices... Hella voices.
And that's what it would do. It would be a peak and fade.
Yeah.
Because even from when I was a kid, I would see this black shadow above my head, and it would swirl around. It would get really, really big, really small. Some nights it wouldn't be there. Some nights it would be in one corner of my room. Some nights it would be right above me. I would sleep with the blanket over my head. There was a point I was making to that shit. Because you said something, and I was like, shit, I had to.
Now it's gone.
Oh. Also, remember when we first started talking, I was taking Cooper and my mom's puppy out, and I went to go back inside, and you came over before you went to work and went in the basement with Steve or something because I heard things and you were like...
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You were hearing things and the EMF went off, right?
Mm-hmm.
That place, I mean, still to this day when I go there, weird shit is happening.
But the video is crazy. It's a well done edit this time. It's not as long as the first one, but it's a well done edit. So.
I want to say too though is that like with the Alcott video, there were a lot of people there. I do like it was kind of hard to edit, and
it was, not to make excuses for myself, but it was very hard to edit with all the people and the amount of main cameras we had. We had like 3 or 4.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Plus, with the night vision cameras screwing up with the audio and that low drone. Ugh. So we've moved away from using mainly night vision. I think a couple videos left we have main night vision cameras in this season, but then while we were filming, we kind of moved away from that. So you'll be able to see stuff better audio. So that's good.
We'll still do the night vision here and there, but I think that's going to be depending on, like, the investigation.
Yeah, night vision's not our main source of income now. Footage. Like, we're going to use it still.
So, yeah. Are there any other questions or anything about I'm trying to think, because I feel like...
In your mom's podcast, when she was on talking about it, we went through a decent amount.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of my childhood too, because sometimes it's hard to remember all of it. I think I got most of it because
you did a lot.
I mean, seeing bugs or like hearing things in my room or like, you know, seeing shadow figures come up to my bed. I thought they were my stuffed animals when I was a kid, and they were all like laughing and so many voices. It was like deafening.
Yeah, Alex had a messed up childhood with this house and the demonic in it. But I think that it's pretty cool that we had the chance to be able to investigate it.
Yeah.
Very awesome. Loved it. It's a great video. Check it out when it drops. November 30th, I believe, or the last day of the month is. I don't know.
I wonder if there's ever a chance for us to go there again. I don't know.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Do we want to wrap it up?
I don't see why not.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, thank you for talking about your house more.
Yeah, thank you for letting me yell into the mic.
No problem. It's a great video. Check it out. Also, we have merch. Link will be in the description if you want to support us a little bit more. Check it out. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment any questions you have for Alex we could touch on, or any questions in general you'd like us to touch on if we do another Q&A video in the future.
Also, I do just want to give a shout out to one viewer, Toxic Serenity on TikTok, gave us our very first Paranormal donation towards an investigation. We never asked for anything like that, but we are open to it. But yeah, we appreciate any support you guys send our way, comments, likes,
sharing the video, even just watching the video in its entirety helps us a lot. It lets the video YouTube algorithm get traction. So even if you're just playing it in the background, anything helps.
And if you guys do buy our merch and you do want to send donations, that's just a bonus. That's just extra, and we appreciate it. We appreciate all of it, though.
Yeah. All right.
And so does Cooper.
Yes. Cooper loves you guys. But thank you for listening. Really appreciate it. Investigation video drops November 30th. Check it out. It's going to be a good video.
Also really random. I eventually want plushies of me, you, and Cooper.
Is that what you wrote on the calendar?
Yeah. I think Adam said, saw Paranormal plushies. And I'm like, I have to.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's on a bucket list for me.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Toodles.
Bye.